This story is called The Doorman. Mr. Neufeld had never been an imaginative man, but when his coffee table's shadow offered to strike a bargain with him, he didn't hesitate. After all, he'd lived a fastidiously moderate, sensible life, and look how that had worked out. Every day, Mr. Neufeld would rise early, shower, brush his teeth in front of the mirror, and think to himself, "Today I will do the best thing, no matter what that is. I will not get caught up in the emotions of others. I will not let my own emotions rule me. I will be rational and wise and see the world as it is." By and large, he succeeded, and he was, if not exactly happy, at least quite satisfied with his cool, calm life. But then came the sleepless nights. It began, innocuously enough, waking in the small hours, shifting restlessly for an hour or two, then gradually sliding back into sleep. 3 months later, he was up and pacing most nights. Little by not so little, his placid resolve began to erode. One Tuesday he snapped at a colleague for bringing in the wrong kind of coffee. He spent the next 20 minutes berating himself in a toilet cubicle. Friday next week he had 8 glasses of Chardonnay at the office drinks and pissed in a pot plant. And every week he slept less. Mr. Neufeld was horrified by all these lapses, but as the nights grew endless and the days bleared into a bright smudge, he found himself almost entirely unable to live by his daily mantra. Unfortunately for him, he soon had something much more disconcerting to worry about. On a Sunday evening, much like any other in the past few months, the voices started. Just whispers, at first, so faint that he thought it was wind or the rustle of light rain. But as Sunday evening wore on into Monday morning, Mr. Neufeld began to suspect that something was trying to get his attention. He noticed that the gentle susurrations were clearer in some places than others, and that if he shuffled slowly around his living room, he could isolate the apparent source of each whisper. "I'm not going to indulge this," he thought. "I'm hearing things because I haven't slept for days, and that's that." 30 minutes later he was kneeling on the floor, his ear pressed to the leg of his coffee table. "Hello?" He winced. This was ridiculous. "Hello?" Then, faint but quite clear, he heard the voice. "I'm not a bloody coffee table, mate. Down here." After Mr. Neufeld finished hyperventilating and repeating, "Just go with it, just go with it," he gathered what was left of his dignity and poured out his soul to the carpet. "Look, I don't know what's going on, and I think I'm hallucinating, but I just have to go with it, because otherwise I'm fighting everything that seems real, and I'm just gonna fucking lose it." He paused for a breath. So what do you want?" Silence, for a long time. Then, just as Mr. Neufeld was about to stand up, "I like that. No pissing around with denial, way too rare these days. Don't talk. I'm about to tell you a lot of things you don't really want to hear. Best thing is to shut up and listen, and then have your little meltdown, yeah? Okay, first things first. I'm sorry, mate, but you're fucked. You've got 5, maybe 6 months in you. Your restless nights, that's just going to get worse. You probably should have gone to a specialist, but honestly, and trust me on this, what you've got, they can't fix. Like I said, I'm sorry. It's shitty news for anyone to hear. Now, secondly, I'm dead. I fucking hate the word ghost, but that's basically the situation. So, why are you in the carpet? Well, that's what you want to know. I mean, fine. I'm not in the carpet, I'm in the shadow. Your coffee table's shadow. Really. Shut up. No talking, remember? We're up to the bit where I'm dead, okay? Okay. Now, if you're looking forward to St. Peter or some shit after you die, you're going to be sorely disappointed. There's no afterlife worth the name. But your mind sticks around, only it gets caught up in some shadow. Doesn't matter which, it's just dumb luck where we end up. What about when it's dark? For the first time he sensed anger. edged with something else from the ghost. "Do not talk to me about when it's dark. Ever." Moving on. "No one leaves their shadow. You can talk to other dead bastards if they're stuck nearby, but otherwise you're totally cut off. I won't lie, it's a bloody nightmare. There's only one way out, and it's so rare it's basically a myth. But there you are. You're a fucking unicorn, mate." Right. So, leaving that for a second, I'm going to die. You surely are. There's a reason you hear me. For one, you're half dreaming half the time. Wide awake, but still. That and your brain's getting eaten up by the little bugger that's stealing your sleep. Prions or some shit. It's a bad way to go. But listen, you don't need to go through all that. I can help. Mr. Neufeld still wasn't certain about anything that had happened since the whispers began, but he was fairly sure that there was something seriously wrong with him. And in the absence of any other immediately apparent options, he decided to follow along. "Okay, I'm not saying I believe you, or even that you're real, but I can't deal with anything anymore. I just want to have some control over my life. I want things to make sense. And I'm so sick of being awake. So, can you really help?" "I can. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. You're my way out of here. Not just mine. Every dead bugger in the vicinity. We can shrug off our shadows and step through you like a door. Right into nothing." "Why haven't you?" "Well, you have to let us. Just think, yeah, alright, I'll let these poor sods through. That's what I'm after, but it's your only shot too. We know about people like you. Stories travel. This is your one chance, mate. So what's it going to be?" Well, what's the harm? Thought Mr. Neufeld. At least the whispers might go away. So he stood up, walked to his favourite armchair, got comfortable and thought, "Come on then, I'm waiting." For just a moment nothing happened, and he felt both relieved and disappointed. Then a slight warmth suffused his body, and he knew that the shadow stretching from his coffee table was now empty. Then it happened again, and again. The sensation became more frequent until it was a constant stream, a feeling of relief, of peace, of rightness. But then he started to notice another element to the feeling. With each ghost that stepped through him into oblivion, Mr. Neufeld felt a small fragment of himself following. He scrambled to shut himself away, recoiling from the corrosive dead. Instantly he sensed not peace but panic, desperation and despair. As awful as it was, he held himself steady. "I can't die now," he thought. "I'm not ready." Slowly, very slowly, the roiling panic began to fade, shifting to listless melancholy, and then finally to nothing. It was over. He felt nothing. It was another Monday morning, and sleep was nowhere in sight. He sat perfectly still for a long time. Then he nodded twice. Okay. He walked to the bathroom, switching on every light in his house on the way. He stood in front of the mirror, hesitated a moment, then spoke. "Today I will do the best thing, no matter what that is. I will be rational and wise and see the world as it is." And Mr. Neufeld opened the door again, and the ghosts poured in. When he was found the next day, he did not look like he was just sleeping. His body was sprawled awkwardly on the bathroom floor, and he'd knocked over his toiletries, which lay scattered across both the tiles and himself. But if anyone had bothered to look closely, they would have noticed an expression of deep peace across his haggard features, and at the edges of his mouth the barest hint of a smile.